What's up guys, I'm reviewing the Rammer and seeing if this heavy is overpowered or if it's as bad as people say it is. Hit points for the Rammer are roughly average, sitting at 1491. Armor isn't that good. It's a heavy tank and it looks like it should have armor, but what little armor it has is in the turret, and even then it won't do well. If you get matched up against tier 8s, you will definitely struggle, but in my experience the armor seems to work somewhat. We'll go over the armor more in Armor Inspector. The view range is about average for a tier 7 heavy at 268.6, and concealment is not that good, but that's to be expected from a heavy. Damage per minute is not anything special, sitting at 1886, and the reload time is fairly long, sitting at 11.14 seconds. Penetration is not the greatest, but the HE pin seems to be pretty decent. You will struggle a lot against tier 8s and more heavily armored tanks. The AP is at 182, APCR 233, and HE 64. The average damage is about average for a tier 7 heavy. The AP is at 350, APCR 290, and HE 450. Shell velocity, I personally didn't have too much of a problem with it while playing the Rammer. Aiming time and dispersion seem to be okay at 4 seconds and 0.344. Gun elevation is really good at 20 degrees, and depression isn't the greatest, but you can work with it at 7 degrees, but you won't be as effective on hills. The speed is okay, it's nothing crazy, with the top speed going forward at 34, in reverse 14, and an average speed of 31. The turn rate for the turret isn't the best at 29.16, and the hull seems to be pretty good at 39.72 degrees a second. The terrain crossing capacity and engine power seem okay. You'll be able to get from point A to point B, but you won't really be flanking anytime soon. I'll flash everything I use on the screen. You can copy it or use it as an example. This is just how I personally like to use the Rammer. As usual, collector tanks don't make as many credits as premiums, but it does seem to make a okay amount of credits for you. This is the perspective of another Rammer. Looking straight on, everyone will pin the hull, turret ring, inner cheeks, top of the turret, and cupola. What armor you do have is the top part of the hull, gun mantlet, outer cheeks, and portions of the top of the turret. However, when facing tier 8s, you don't really have any armor, as shown from this perspective from the AT-15. Now when I switch to X-ray mode, most of the tank is covered in spaced armor. It is on the hull, gun mantlet, top of the roof, sides of the cheeks, and sides of the hull. Hull down, it still has the same weak points as looking straight on from both the Rammer and AT-15 perspective. Only the hull is hidden this time. This tank is basically a big paper target that might get some bounces. Everyone will pin your sides and rear. How would you play the Rammer, and what are some tactics you could use to play it effectively? I would go with the heavies, but not necessarily be right at the front line unless I have to be, because you don't really have any armor, but be like a second line per se. Basically just stay with your team or have some guys with you. I would mainly use peekaboo and pair it with being hauled down. Despite the name Rammer, it really is not good at ramming anything. What are some tactics you could use? Peekaboo is going to be the main way you want to play this tank, since it basically has no armor. Trading, you will have to do it as a heavy. However, try to minimize the amount you trade in this one. 1v1s and brawling will happen. Know what tank you're going up against and if you'll be able to take them out. Sniping, you can do it if you get the opportunity. Hull down won't be as effective with 7 degrees of gun depression, but you could still do it. Pair this with peekaboo. Side scraping, I wouldn't recommend it unless you have to, because you have no other option. Even then, you'll still 9 times out of 10 get pinned. Face hugging wouldn't be my go-to with everything we've said about the armor. However, in my experience, face hugging seems to work pretty good. The battle is constantly changing. You may have to adapt and lead a push or hold the line so your tank destroyers can pick off the enemy. Use some common sense and keep your situational awareness. If you think I left anything important out, please leave it in the comments below for others to learn. Now let's get into the replays. For this battle, I feel like it really highlights that if you stay with your team, you'll do just fine in this tank. Also, it shows the penetration values and how effective you'll be able to pin against tier 8s. To be honest, I feel like we got pretty lucky with the Tiger 2, always catching him off guard and able to pin his cheek. But if he had his turret facing towards us, I feel like we would have had a lot tougher time trying to pin him. We get a shot into his cheek just like we were talking about, Also, while we were making our way towards the heavy side, I'm pretty sure we spotted all the enemy heavy tanks. I'm just chilling out, observing the battle, see what teammate I have behind me supporting me. And once I'm fully reloaded, I pull out, aim in, and track the IS in place and get back into cover. I forgot how much assisted damage we get during this battle as well. That's another thing you guys should do. Always try to track the enemy in place so your teammates can get multiple shots into him and you can clear a gun like it's nothing. I check to see how much longer my teammate has on the reload and if he's going to take out the T-29. I wait a moment, realize he's not taking him out, whether he doesn't have a shot or he's waiting for a better target, so I end up taking out the T-29. 3 out of the 5 enemy tanks that were on the heavy side are now taken out. So I'm going to take advantage of that and start pushing up pretty aggressively and apply pressure on the Tiger II and the tank destroyer. It seems like our team has the same idea and we catch the Tiger II off guard again and get another shot into his cheek. I get into a hasty side scraping position and spot the T-28 in the process, which will rack up our assisted damage. The Tiger II just barely escapes, so we get our shot into the T-28 and our teammates take him out. I'm going to keep pushing towards the Tiger II. I'm comfortable enough with taking a trade if I have to, since I'm on full hit points and he is not. However, it's not going to come down to that, and we do a hit and run on the Tiger II and our team takes him out. That Ferdinand is briefly spotted, so we are going to push up to where his last known location is to see how much more damage we could get in. Because if you look at the base capture, our Panther decides to just sit in the base cap, even though we have the advantage and we could hunt down these remaining tanks. Which in the moment made me pretty upset because I wanted to rack up as much damage as I could. But a win is a win, so I can't really complain with that. Right here, I had a oh shit moment because he was waiting for us and I cannot pin him right away, so I quickly switched to APCR and snap a shot off. Luckily, we saved up all of our hit points to be able to trade like this at the end of the battle. Because if we were down to a one shot, we would be screwed right now. I only get one more shot into him, and this is where we officially trade since he ended up bouncing that first shot on us. And I was really hoping I would be able to squeeze one more shot into him. Unfortunately, our Panther capped out the base, which, like I said, that frustrated me, but a win is a win. We get 2.9k damage, 1.4k assisted damage, and the first class. The credits, I mean, they're okay, it's whatever. And top of the leaderboard for this battle. Alright guys, I feel like this battle really highlights that even though you can make a lot of mistakes early on, as long as you recognize you're making mistakes and you're able to recover from that, you can make a comeback and start being effective for your team. Along with gun depression failing you, face hugging, which my working theory is the closer you get to an enemy tank, the better your armor gets. At least based off the damage block during this battle, which is like 2k, in the rammer of all tanks. There's also a key moment during this battle where I feel like target prioritization and the placement of your tank during a brawl will work out favorably for you, even though you're outnumbered. We pushed very aggressively, which I would not recommend doing. I think this was one of my first battles playing this tank, just to figure out the playstyle and the armor and everything. And the only teammate we have close to us right now is the heavy that capped out base D. The rest of our team is just barely outside of our spawn, besides that one medium tank up towards A. I rushed out to this corner to get into a side scraping position, and I realized really quickly that I made a mistake. The T-20 easily pinned my side, and the AT-15 is pushing up on me. So I decide very quickly that I am going to back up and get out of there. This is when I realize I do not have enough gun depression to get the gun down and get shots into the AT-15 or the T-20. I tried seeing if the gun would go down a good amount if I inched forward a little bit, however it didn't really move. The T-20 decides he's going to start pushing us. We get a shot off into him and ram him for 500 damage. And I quickly angle my haul and get a bounce from him. While we're focusing the T-20, the Tiger P is going to flank behind us and get a shot into us. But I do end up taking out the T-20, and now I'm going to focus my attention towards the Tiger P. I am in a very bad spot if I stayed there. The AT-15 would have pushed up that hill and gotten shots in the back of us while we were focusing the Tiger. So I'm willing to trade hit points to push the Tiger while at the same time focusing him and repositioning in a way so that the AT-15 will not get shots into me. And if you noticed, our T-54E2 helped us in focusing the Tiger P. He completely ignored the IS that was focusing him. So while I'm backing up, keeping this building in between me and the AT-15, I'm going to now help out our T-54E2 and get shots into the IS. I keep an eye on the AT-15 to make sure he's still focusing me and his attention is not drifting towards our T-54E2. We get one more shot into the IS-3 to help out our T-54E2 and hopefully he will win that brawl. But now we are going to have to start brawling the AT-15. I'm not gonna lie, I was fully expecting to get torn apart by the AT-15 and only get maybe one more shot off. But like I said at the start of this battle, I don't know what it is, but face hugging for me just seems to work. And he ends up bouncing every single shot other than that first one. And our team will finish off that T-25. Is the rammer overpowered or is it as bad as people make it out to be? Well, it's definitely not overpowered, but I also don't think it's complete garbage or necessarily that bad. But I'm definitely not saying it's good either. I could definitely see where people are coming from when they say this tank is bad or complete garbage, don't get me wrong. However, I don't think it's for lesser experienced or newer players. I feel like if you're a more experienced player, you'll do well in this tank. And I know most of you guys are not going to agree with me on this, but I prefer this tank over the Smasher. I just don't like playing the Smasher. I don't know what it is about it, but with the Rammer, I really enjoy this playstyle. But what do you guys think? Is the Rammer bad and complete garbage? Or do you think you have to be a more experienced player to play it? And I'll throw a second question in there. Do you prefer the Rammer's playstyle or the Smasher's playstyle? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, check this one out. I think you'll like it too.